Up to 1,700 National Guardsmen are preparing to mobilize across 19 states in the coming weeks. Pentagon officials confirmed the deployment is to assist the Department of Homeland Security with President Trump's nationwide crackdown on illegal immigration and crime. Documents obtained by Fox News show that planning is underway for activations in states including Alabama, Florida, Texas, and Virginia, with the status effective from this month through mid-November. Texas is expected to host the largest contingent of these forces. The National Guard soldiers will not be acting in a law enforcement capacity. Instead, they will serve as a support pillar for a sweeping federal interagency effort led by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE. Their duties approach the line of law enforcement activity. This mobilization is an extension of the administration's broader security initiatives. It follows the deployment of nearly 2,000 National Guard soldiers in Washington, D.C. to deter crime. President Trump has indicated he plans to expand these operations to other major cities, recently telling reporters he thinks Chicago and New York will be next. While most state deployments are still in the planning stages, operations are slated to begin in Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, and Nevada during the first week of September. Virginia has confirmed that approximately 60 of its soldiers and airmen will begin training on August 25th for a deployment starting in early September. One state, Vermont, has declined the Pentagon's authorization to activate its National Guard for the mission. While the administration focuses on domestic security, a major foreign policy deadline is looming. President Donald Trump announced on Friday that he is giving Russia and Ukraine a 2-week window to engage in talks aimed at ending the war between them. Speaking from the Oval Office, the president stated that if no significant progress is made within that time frame, he will make what he called a very important decision on the next steps for the United States. Those steps could range from imposing severe economic penalties on Moscow to taking no action at all. President Trump detailed the potential options, saying he will determine whether or not it's massive sanctions or massive tariffs or both, or do we do nothing and say, it's your fight. This ultimatum marks a significant escalation in U.S. pressure to resolve the long-running conflict. The administration has said it will closely monitor the attitudes and actions of both sides over the next 2 weeks before charting a course. The announcement introduces a new level of uncertainty, as the global economy could face significant disruption from new, heavy sanctions or tariffs on Russia. This move places direct pressure on both Kyiv and Moscow to find a diplomatic path forward, with the clear implication that the U.S. is prepared to use its economic leverage to force a resolution. The international community will be watching closely to see if any meaningful negotiations materialize before the president's deadline expires. Beyond geopolitical strategy, the administration is also making significant moves in domestic industrial policy. President Trump announced that the semiconductor giant Intel has agreed to give the federal government a 10% equity stake in the company. The arrangement is reportedly in exchange for Intel receiving nearly $11 billion in grants and loans from the CHIPS and Science Act. The CHIPS Act was passed to bolster domestic semiconductor manufacturing, aiming to reduce American reliance on foreign supply chains and enhance national security. The president, speaking to reporters at the Oval Office, said the deal was struck during an August 11th meeting with Intel CEO Lip-Bu Tan. Recounting the meeting, President Trump said he walked in wanting to keep his job, and he ended up giving us $10 billion for the United States. He added that despite his previous criticisms of Tan regarding alleged connections to China, he liked him a lot and thought he was very good. The move for the government to take a direct ownership stake in a major, publicly traded technology firm in exchange for federal grants is highly unusual and represents a novel approach to public-private partnerships in the United States. It signals a more interventionist industrial policy, where the government not only funds strategic industries but also shares in their potential financial upside. The president was also a subject of discussion in newly released documents from the Department of Justice. On Friday, the DOJ released full transcripts and audio recordings of interviews conducted last month with Ghislaine Maxwell, the convicted associate of the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The interviews were conducted by Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche as part of the ongoing investigation into the sprawling sex trafficking operation. In a post on the social media platform X, Blanche stated the release was made in the interest of transparency. In one notable portion of the interview, Maxwell addressed President Trump's connection to Epstein. She stated that she had never witnessed the president in any inappropriate setting in any way. Maxwell characterized the relationship between Trump and Epstein as being friendly, like people are in social settings. These statements provide new insight into Maxwell's perspective, though they come after her conviction on sex trafficking charges. The release of the full, unedited interviews provides the public with direct access to her testimony as proffered to the Justice Department, continuing the long and complex legal fallout from the Epstein case that has implicated numerous powerful figures over the years. From the Department of Justice to the Department of Education, another federal investigation has concluded, this time focusing on civil rights in higher education. The Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights announced yesterday that it has cited George Mason University in Fairfax, Virginia, for violating federal law. The investigation determined that the university illegally used race and other immutable characteristics in its processes for hiring and promoting employees. These practices are in violation of Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, or national origin in any program receiving federal financial assistance. The finding is particularly notable because it contrasts sharply with a 2020 pledge by the university's president, Gregory Washington, to expunge racist vestiges from the campus. In a strongly worded statement, Acting Assistant Secretary for Civil Rights Craig Traynor criticized the university's actions. He said, "Without a hint of self-awareness, President Washington then waged a university-wide campaign to implement unlawful DEI policies that intentionally discriminate based on race. You can't make this up." The case highlights the ongoing national debate surrounding diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, initiatives and the legal scrutiny they are facing from federal agencies.